Attention men, are you wanting to break free from porn or other unwanted sexual behaviors, but finding it seemingly impossible to quit? If so, we can help. My name is Jonathan Daugherty, the founder of Gateway to Freedom. This 3-day workshop is for any man who wants to overcome any kind of unwanted sexual behavior. So whether you're married, single, or divorced, this powerful and proven intensive weekend will help you uncover what is at the root of your struggle and discover the man God always created you to be. Space is limited, so call us today at 210-822-8201 to register. That's 210-822-8201, or visit bebroken.org/GTF. Good day, friends. Jonathan Daugherty here with another edition of the PSR podcast. You know, we're a listener-supported outreach of Be Broken Ministries, and we exist to help individuals and families move from sexual brokenness to wholeness in Christ and equip others to do the same. In today's episode, I sit down with Sam Black. He's the Director of Recovery Education at CovenantEyes, and we explore the journey of online accountability and recovery from pornography. Sam shares how CovenantEyes has evolved over 25 years, shifting from simple filtering and accountability to a much more relational, ally-based approach. Then we dive into CovenantEyes' Victory app and its various features, including emotional check-ins, family management, and some supportive courses for men, women, and parents. And by the way, the Victory app, it's free. Sam also announces a generous special book giveaway and encourages listeners to take the next step toward freedom with these practical faith-based resources. To get access to all of CovenantEyes resources, visit CovenantEyes.com. And you can use the code BEBROKEN, all one word, to try out their services free for 30 days. For additional resources, visit our website at bebroken.org or check out all the links that we're going to put in today's show notes. And also, part of what we're going to put in today's show notes is how you can get a free copy of Sam's book, The Healing Church. And of course, friends, I'm going to invite you at the end to rate and review the podcast after listening to help others find it. Now, let's dig into today's informative and practical conversation with Sam. Well, all right. We have back with us Sam Black. So, Sam, how are you doing today?
I am really fantastic. It's been a great week. Thank you. How about yourself?
I'm doing great. So, last time we had you on, we were talking about the release of your book, which is not newly released anymore. It's been out for a little while.
Right?
And we might even give a little bit of a bonus for those who stay with us to the end of this podcast. Is that right? Around maybe
Absolutely.
possible giveaways?
Yeah, why don't we give away 10 copies? Does that sound good?
Sounds good to me. So I think that's our teaser, everybody. So stick with us because we will. And please, don't fast forward to the end. You gotta, now if you want to put us at like 1.5x, that's fine. But just, at least get to the end where you can get the teaser. But Sam, before we get into our conversation, I'd love for our listeners, maybe some of our newer listeners and viewers who haven't met you yet. I'd love for you to tell them a little bit about who you are and a little bit about the work you've done at CovenantEyes. And then we're going to dive into kind of giving the consolidated or condensed version of kind of the history of CovenantEyes and how we've gotten to this place about a particular resource that we're going to highlight today.
Yeah, thank you. Again, my name is Sam Black. I've been with CovenantEyes for 18 years now. Seems like a flash in the pan, how quickly that has gone by. I'm now the Director of Recovery Education at CovenantEyes. I'm a certified coach through a Christian organization. And my hope and goal and my work is aimed at resourcing people who are in the depths of the struggle, who want to find out, how did I get here? Why do I seem to stay stuck? And how can I take meaningful steps toward freedom? And so the content within the Victory app, by the way, it's all free. We have ebooks and other resources, 21-day plans that people can go through. And it's designed to help people find lasting freedom, not just sort of figure out, if I try a little harder today, maybe I can do better. No, we want to not just help you find freedom from pornography, but live in Christ's wholeness.
Hmm. So let's talk about kind of the history because, Covenant Eyes did not start with this app. So kind of give us the arc of how kind of the overall sort of mission and intent of what Covenant Eyes has been doing for so long kind of morphed into this place where now there's a resource like this that is available to the users.
Yeah, we invented the concept of online accountability 25 years ago. That's wow, that's 25 years.
Predates smartphones and all that kind of
That's
stuff, right?
right.
So
There was no smartphone when we started. And as we progressed over the years, the initial purpose was how can we help families talk to their kids, etc. How can we be more mindful of how we're using the internet? And then uh, very quickly, we saw a broad sphere of people who said, I need accountability for how I'm using my devices. I need someone I can talk to. And that was always the the crux, the most important point of Covenant Eyes was relationship. It wasn't simply that I am being monitored. I'm having a conversation. I am opening myself up. I'm revealing what happens on my devices when I'm alone. So I can have this ongoing conversation that allows me to not feel quite so alone when I am alone in front of that temptation. How
yeah,
can
and
I?
I think that's one of those things that really kind of set Covenant Eyes apart at first is because as everybody was starting to try to figure out how do we leverage software to help people to not go down the dark trails in the internet with pornography and all that. I think the fact that Covenant Eyes wanted to establish it first and foremost in a relational model was
Mhm.
really, really important because if you think about the way that most pornography addictions develop and then sort of mature, if I can put it that way, it is driving us more and more and more into isolation. And so simply to hand somebody that's addicted to pornography a technology or software that they're supposed to go privately attach to their device or whatever and
Mhm.
think that somehow that's going to shift the paradigm of what they're trapped in is a little bit foolish. In other words, saying if I just have a filter, I'll never look at porn again. Well, you're still isolated, you're privatizing, you're not actually engaging relationships. I really like that about what Covenant Eyes did from the beginning is it's established in relationship.
There was a period of time when we offered a choice. You could choose accountability or filtering with Covenant Eyes, or both. And what we quickly discovered is that those who are only using the filter, we were getting all of these overrides, etc., that, yeah, I can go ahead and look at that. Or there's no wall tall enough or thick enough that we won't try to climb over in our addiction.
Mhm.
So that relational aspect was so valuable that since then, we've never provided any any longer
Yeah.
freedom without also accountability.
What I like also too, part of the history too, is when you even started to kind of grow in your language use
Hmm.
and talk about when the term ally came into the vocabulary of Covenant Eyes and what kind of difference that might have made for people engaging what we might have only considered as quote unquote accountability before.
Well, the more we began hearing the word, accountability started off, and it was a pretty good word. But
Hmm.
over time, a lot of people began talking about holding someone accountable for something they had done. And all they were talking about was punishing or, um,
Right.
you know, letting the whole world know what a
Like
crook they
shaming them or
were.
something,
Yeah, shame.
yeah.
And an ally is someone who has your back. They have your best
Hmm.
interests in mind. They know your goals and want to help you achieve them. And that's why we began switching that language to ally because we believe in the power of relationship. And having an ally knows that I have someone I really trust, someone who I can reach out to. I just one of the guys I serve as an ally with today. He called me just before this interview, and So yes, I get his report. Yes, but it's a relationship. We're having an ongoing conversation. And yesterday morning at 7 a.m., like clockwork, every Wednesday, I get to call my ally
That's
because
good.
we don't outgrow this, right? We want to mature in wholeness in every part of our lives.
Yeah. So then when did kind of the thought start to form around what is now the Victory app? And how did that come to be?
Yeah. So uh, for a long period, we had provided reporting through email. I thought, well, people really are using their smart devices, so why don't we create an opportunity for them to um, receive that reporting through an app on their device, and they can see it all the time, 24 hours. They can see a running feed. In fact, that's what you can see today. But as long as we're creating an app, why don't we create educational resources to help them in that journey? And so within the app now, there's more than 40 educational mini courses. The idea that you can spend 3 to 5 minutes a day learning and growing in your recovery journey. And then as
Mhm.
we progress further, well, the app provides a great opportunity for people who are struggling, what we call a hero, as to an ally. And so, how can we improve that communication? And we'll be showing a little bit of that, of how we've begun developing some of those changes in just a few minutes.
Yeah, I definitely want to get into that. Now, uh what were let's talk about any maybe obstacles or challenges that you guys ran into in maybe developing this, whether it was um philosophical or technologically or whatever, like what were some of, as you're trying to think, how do we best, create this? Were there any obstacles along the way and some challenges? What that look like?
Indeed, there's always been challenges, both with technology and with, shall we say, how we address technology within the spheres of, wow, our culture, right? So,
Hmm.
first of all, there's always technological hurdles. And there's a lot of things that we would love to do. And people say, well, I'd like you to do that too. But we also have to work in the sandbox or of Apple and Android. And Apple and Android specifically have some very specific guidelines about what you can do or what you cannot do if you want to stay within the App Store. So we indeed, and we want to be very cautious of how we're doing it because don't want to do any harm. We want to make sure that we're providing technology that supports relationships and supports healing. So there is a constant tension and work that goes into creating our next technology. One of them was, for instance, you might recall a time when you just went to whatever, CovenantEyes.com, right? And it was just this uh, HTTP. And then suddenly this S began to appear and that became secure. And the whole concept of that was that those sites would be secure and less trackable and less. And so we literally changed how we do our accountability from just monitoring websites, and all these apps started showing up, right? Both for computers and devices. So today, Covenant Eyes uses artificial intelligence that screen reads, so it doesn't matter where the content comes from for your computer or your Android device. If it appears on the screen, it can be captured and then it goes to the report. Now it's blurred before it ever leaves the device, so everything remains secure. It's a technical thing about blurring. It's called obfuscation. And the whole idea behind that is that any sensitive content and text cannot be reread, and that, but you get a sense of, there's something here that I need to have a conversation with my friend about. And so
Hmm.
visually, you can see what appears. So even if I put a flash drive in the side of my computer or receive it through email, because it appeared on the screen, even though it's not part of a browser, it still gets reported. Now with iPhone, we talked about playing in specific sandboxes. we work within their parental controls to help lock down the device and monitor as well. So, and we provide the guides to help you do that well. Now, a lot of people might go, man, Sam, this sounds like it's starting to get complex. And that's why we're the only organization that provides free member care where you can call one of our member care agents, talk to them on the phone. They'll walk you through how to install on your devices, how to read reports, how to get some more supportive content or a resource that they can use in the recovery journey. You can also do that by chat or by email. The point is, we want to be here for our members to help them succeed.
That's good. Well, in a minute, we are going to do kind of like a demo in some ways. But I feel like I jumped over maybe what should have been the very basic question right from the beginning. And that is simply, what is the Victory app and who is it for?
All right. Well, Covenant Eyes uses two apps. One is in its current form, and Covenant Eyes is the monitoring of the app and in or the devices. So you can sign up for an account and download and to as many devices you want. You can download Covenant Eyes to as many devices you want. It's unlimited. We want you to be accountable for on all your devices, and then that reporting goes to your ally. You can also download, and we highly, highly, highly encourage you to also use the Victory app. The Victory app is a companion app that allows you to see the reporting that's happening, provides the educational resources, provides that communication between you and your ally is also downloading the Victory app so they can learn, so they can be a better ally for you. And it's also where they can see uh, what's happening on all the devices that you're using.
Now, is this something, there's still, even in today's world, there's still a lot of assumptions when it comes around things like internet pornography and anything that could be nefarious online.
Mhm.
Is this something just for men or is it for women too?
Oh my goodness. About a third of women in the church today say they have an ongoing struggle with pornography.
Hmm.
There's been a major shift. And since 2007, when the iPhone first came out, we saw a dramatic change in how girls were being impacted by pornography. You know, in both of our work, we see this, that the reasons people typically struggle is early exposure to pornography as a child, typically, the ongoing use of pornography over time, and some pain or trauma often has happened. And now they've learned over time to anesthetize their emotions and regulate their moods through using pornography. So we shouldn't be surprised that when we began handing these devices to girls at starting in 2007, and before, because computers were certainly piping it through as well. But there was a dramatic shift when the iPhone came out, and with Android devices soon following, we began placing in our girls' hands an endless library of pornography. And we would think, well, a child would never be curious like I was curious or you were curious. But that's just natural for them to be curious. And often it gets their hooks into them. And so
Hmm.
indeed, we have in fact launched a full 21-day program, video program with readings for women, and it's called Arise, and you can find that on the Covenant Eyes website as well. It's intended for women.
And so even some of the learning content and the tools that are within the Victory app, that's for men and women
That is correct.
to benefit from. Yeah.
We've actually addressed a number of audiences within the Victory app, men and women, of course, but also their allies, those who are helping them be helping someone else, because they want to do that job well, but they don't really know maybe how can I have a good conversation? How do I be not wimpy, but not dictatorial either? How can I be a winsome accountability partner? How does that work? We also um, provide resources for parents and for betrayed spouses. So there's a lot of resources in there that really help a broad sphere of people. Again, more than 40 courses already, and it keeps growing. We just added two more this week.
That's great. Well, before we take a quick tour, another question that might pop up is so what is the what is like the minimum age requirement for somebody to be able to be on the Victory app?
Um, Victory is open, so anyone can use the Victory app because parents use it for their kids as well, right? And parents might say, "Well, I don't want you to use the Victory app because it's going to tell you, it's going to get into more details. Nothing is coarse, but understand it's just above their heads for how do people
Yeah.
get stuck and why do they stay stuck." So I don't think there's a minimum age requirement there, but certainly
But
parents.
maybe like mid to late teens and based on what parents think
That's
about
right.
what their kid can handle.
Covenant Eyes is really geared toward serving adults and teens.
Hmm. That's great. Well, let's take a tour. Why
Yeah.
don't we hop on and as you're getting that ready, maybe sharing the screen and everything, I do want to let our audio only listeners realize we're going to do our best to try to help your imagination wonder what we are looking at. But we are going to have a link in the show notes, and I would highly recommend that you go in there to actually see what we're going through because we're capturing all of this on video um, so that we're going to be basically taking a little demo and a little tour through the app.
And for those of you who are watching, you might say, I can see that. Why does he keep saying that? So I will do my best to describe. So uh, have patience with us and we'll walk through here. What I'm going to show you today specifically is the Victory app. Certainly, you can go to the Covenant Eyes website, learn more about how the technology works. But today, I'm just going to specifically focus on the Victory app and how you can engage with it.
Awesome.
All right. So I'm sharing my screen now. And what I'm showing you is an online or a browser version of the app. You can download the app to your phone, iPhone or Android device as well, tablets. Um, but there is also a browser version that you can use, and we're going to provide you a link to that so that if you want to, by the way, the Victory app is totally free. And even if you're not a Covenant Eyes member, you are welcome to use the Victory app. Just it's a free sign up. So when you arrive at the home screen of the Victory app, you'll see at the top there's some navigation for home. One says another section says accountability, where you can receive all the reporting, etc. The next section is learning, where there's all those mini courses that we began having conversation about, and account. So you can manage your account, maybe add Covenant Eyes users, accountability users, etc. Manage filter guardians and things of that nature. Well, as you can see, the top screen says Learn, and it's reminding me that I have been working on a course, and this course happens to be about the three stages of maturity, or that's the session I'm in of a course. And so I can pick up where I left off in my learning journey. I can also, in this next section, see at the activity for people that I hold accountable. So others uh, who come to me and say, "Hey Sam, I've asked you to be my ally." This makes it easy for me to keep in touch. So this is a great
Mhm.
spot for allies to monitor activity very easily. There's also a community here, and the idea behind our community is we want you to recognize you're not alone. We are There are so many people who are on this same pathway with you. Covenant Eyes has served about 2 million people. And so the journeys and the stories we hear every day about, man, just knowing that I had these resources at hand, that I had seeing others in this battle as well, it would encourage me every day to keep stepping forward. If I click on the View Community tab, I can you know, there's a note here that says Anthony says that I made good choices today. And I can go over and say, Anthony, just want to say that's awesome. I'm going to give you a little trophy emoji, and then I can comment on it as well. Your progress inspires me. Thank you for sharing. And I can do that for myself as well. So if I want to share with the community, if I want to share a prayer request or a confession or success or achievement, I get to do that now. So I'm going to click the success or achievement. I'm going to say I'm celebrating another day of sobriety. I click on continue, and then I get to I'm my share goes right to the top. When you look at accountability, it shows those who you're holding accountable. I'm going to click on my own personal view. This is the activity that's happening with on my devices. So if I click on the view activity feed, we can actually see what's happening right now. This is me and Jonathan preparing for
Right.
our Zoom
Yeah.
call right now. So if there's some summaries and settings, etc., we won't go into that. I can also send a note to my accountability partner. I can say, "Hey, Danny." Danny is one of my is a longtime friend, and he has been a great support to me over many years. I can say, "Hey, Danny, just want to let you know that I appreciate you." He'll go,
Mhm.
you know, whatever I want to say. I can click that. Now he's receiving that within the Victory app, so we can have that ongoing conversation. Once we move to the Learning tab within the app, I can see a buckets of courses that I can check out. And so the starting point is at the top, and it's really geared toward, hey, you're getting started on this journey. Let's get you oriented about what's happening. But there are other buckets, why you turn to porn, really examining the neurology, the impact of early exposure, how trauma is so impactful, as well as finding the next bucket is finding healing from porn. That bucket allows a multitude of courses. What we can learn from relapse is one example. I'll read a few titles here: Healthy Living and Healing, How Forgiveness Heals You. Here's a great one called Grace-Based Recovery. Have you ever heard of this, Jonathan?
I'm familiar with that one. Yes.
So this is a course that Jonathan wrote for us. All of our courses are not only written by experts, but they are then vetted by uh, CSAT counselors. So we want to make sure that we're making sure that everything is well researched and approved before we just start tossing out
Sure. Yeah.
advice, right? Allies in recovery is another bucket there. Relationship recovery. How do we
Mm.
repair the damage that we've caused in a relationship? So we talk about how we build strong boundaries, how wives can understand the difficulties in their recovery journey. This was actually written by a team from Focus on the Family.
Hmm.
Restored vows and pornography and dating. A lot of a lot of people coming to us going, I'm not married, so what do I do with my
Hmm.
pornography now? Well, we want to walk you through that so that you're prepared for a good relationship when it's ready. Brand new course from Dr. Eddie Caparucci, 15 rules for engaging your grieving spouse. So how can we, again, create opportunities to mend the relationships that have been impacted by pornography use? And
That's
then, of
good.
course, at the end, we have a bucket of for parents, help them understand, how do I talk to my kids about pornography? What are some ways that we can protect them, guard them, and have good conversations, prepare them for the day that they see pornography? Finally, the account is just simply where you can log in, manage your users on your account. If you have a multitude of family members, you can have up to 10 family members on your account as well. So you're not paying for each individual username. It's one price for your whole family. Here's something that's coming. And by the time this podcast comes out, I believe it'll be ready to go. And that is this new check-in process. And you'll see at the top here, it says start check-in. It says in this case, no concerning activity is detected. Keep your progress going by checking in with your ally. Now, it could have said that this was, there was activity detected that was inappropriate, and it would give some other instructions there. But in this case, it takes you to the next screen and says, "Good morning, nothing concerning on our end. Please reflect on your victory journey today and peek at your activity along the way." And I can continue, and I can look on the next screen, I can look at the activity that is maybe rises to the top of the list. In this case, there's nothing concerning, but um, there is, uh, it still rises to whatever the top is, typically selected at random, but usually the highest scoring for our artificial intelligence. I also get to check my pulse, and on the next screen, it says, "Hi, hero. What are you feeling today?" Our feelings impact, and it wouldn't say, in this case, a hero would say, "Hey, Sam, what are you feeling?"
Right. Yeah.
Right? Our feelings impact our thoughts and choices. We feel multiple emotions at the same time, but select the ones affecting you most today. In the next screen, you can dive deeper. So if you're familiar with what is a feelings wheel, that's what this
Right.
process is. And so I can say, well, I can have choices here. It says I'm calm or strong, happy or afraid, mad, sad. I'm going to select calm and I'm going to click next. And that will take me into diving a little deeper into my feelings. And so it says, let's dive into the feeling of being calm. What other feelings describe how you're feeling? Well, I'm going to collect, I feel connected and relaxed and peaceful and secure. These are all feelings I'm feeling right now. I can click next. And so it reminds me, this is what I'm feeling. I'm feeling connected, calm, relaxed, and secure. And then it asks, how's your victory journey since your last check-in? This is effectively asking, how's my sobriety? And I've got some choices. It says, I've had multiple falls. I can select, I had a slip, but I'm starting fresh, or no slips, but a lot of triggers, or no slips, but there have been triggers, or haven't slipped and minimal triggers. I'm going to select no slips, but there have been triggers. I click next. It reminds me of the choices I've selected on this next page, and then I can click this button that says I'm finished, share with my ally. Now it goes to my ally, and I have just checked in with my friend.
Hmm.
A little reminder says you've completed your check-in and shared it with your ally. Now, there was a choice on the prior screen that says, I don't want to share it with my ally right now. We want that to be your choice. If you want to share it with your ally, great. You should. I really encourage you, even when there are falls and slips, maybe you're just wanting to check in on at random and not your scheduled time. That's okay. Let your ally
So
know
if
how
you,
you're feeling.
so it, whether you check in and send it to your ally or not, is this starting to create kind of a trend line for your journey in terms of where your feelings and your behaviors are on your journey?
And that is what where our next work, among our next work is going to be, is that you'll be able to see this over time. And
Hmm.
that's one of our long-term goals is so you can see this over time. Are there certain times of the week, certain times of the day or the month that is more impactful than others? What was happening? What was I feeling? Was there a typical feeling that goes along with when I slip so that we can examine for instance, one of the courses within the Victory app is what I can learn from a relapse. Well,
Yeah. Yeah, that's good.
you never want a relapse to go to waste, right? And we want to,
Right.
again, not only when something hasn't gone right, but also when everything is going very well too.
Hmm.
One
Are
more,
there any other things that, yeah, what else do you have for us in our time together here?
there is a program called strive21.com. This is a Covenant Eyes resource, and it's free for your use. It's a 21-day video program and written program that you can follow along with that just encourages you over 21 days to dive deeper into your recovery and seek lasting change.
Okay. Well, that's good stuff, Sam. Thanks for taking us on the tour there and showing us, especially the stuff that's new. And you're right. By the time this airs, I'm sure that will be out, and we will put all that stuff in the show notes. But I want to just ask, what for those who are listening or viewing and they don't have the Victory app, maybe they don't have the Covenant Eyes app,
Mhm.
what just challenge or encouragement would you want to offer to them to say, hey, take that next step? What would you want to say to our listeners and viewers that maybe don't have some of those tools right now at their disposal?
Well, it's hard to beat free 99, right? It's free. So you can download the Victory app, get that today. Just do a search for Victory by Covenant Eyes within your app store, download that, or click on that link that takes you to the web browser version. You can sign up for a free account. We're not here to spam you. We want to see you succeed and grow. And all of those courses within the Victory app are free for your use. And you can go through those exercises and check in with yourself, if nothing else. You can begin monitoring, what's how am I feeling today? What am I noticing about my patterns in my life?
Yeah,
And so
that's good.
it's
Well, we are going to put, yeah, we're going to put all those links and everything in the show notes. But I also remember we have some kind of giveaway going
oh
on here.
yeah,
So let's talk about that. You wanted to do 10,
yeah.
10 of your Healing Church books. Can you share a little bit about what that book is and who maybe it's for?
Yeah, I wrote it's called The Healing Church, What Churches Get Wrong About Pornography and How to Fix It. And it's really aimed toward ministry leaders and pastors, but many many people, many lay people have read it and said, this is very impactful for my own journey, as well as beginning to help my church understand how they can begin supporting people who struggle with pornography. And it's been endorsed by the American Association of Christian Counselors, Max Lucado, Jonathan Doherty, and many others that and yeah, it's really helps put into story form and of individual stories. I interviewed more than 70 pastors, ministry leaders, people who had gone through the recovery process and come out on the other side and said, I have something to offer. And I think it will be an inspiring read for many of our listeners that goes, this journey isn't just about me anymore. When we reach greater wholeness, we can't help but want to give back. So how can I do that well? And I think that book will help you do that.
Yeah. So we would encourage you, listeners and viewers, we have an email address that you can send your request for that book. It's just psr@bebroken.org. And if you'll just put in the subject line free book or the Healing Church book, the first 10 that we get. So you want to be first on the list. We will make sure you get a copy of that book. So, Sam, thanks again for being with us. It's always a joy to chat with you and to talk about ways in which we have collaborated and just to try to be able to produce resources that are helpful to the church and those who are struggling with porn and other unwanted sexual behaviors. So, thanks for being with us.
Oh, Jonathan, it really is always a pleasure to be with you, your whole team. In fact, last month I got to attend your Gateway to Freedom program, and wow, I was so impressed. I got to attend as an observer, but really seeing the impact that intensive has for men. Oh man, I was so blessed and just encouraged, got to participate in the aftercare as well. And thank you for doing that work. That is so impressive.
You bet. Yeah, we love being able to invite leaders to be able to experience that. So then when they're talking to men who are struggling in various ways, they know I'm not just referring, I actually have experienced that and know that that would be a valuable resource for men. So that's great. We're glad you were able to join us for that. And listeners and viewers, we're also glad that you were able to join us for this episode. We want to help you take your next best step. So please reach out to us. Well, there's going to be a lot of information in the show notes. So please go check that out so you can hit all the links for getting all the resources that we shared in this episode. And we look forward to seeing you back here again next time on the Pure Sex Radio program. So take care.
Pure Sex Radio is paid for by Be Broken Ministries. Visit us online at puresexradio.com.